It was a great day for hay for Red Bull, finishing 1 and 2, while McLaren was... Oh, what's going on?
I'm just sad about Alonso's penalty.
Hi everyone, I'm just consoling my cat, who is absolutely devastated about taking away the podium from Alonso, but I'm sure he'll get over it, just as you will. My name is Stacey Hewen. Welcome to Race Weekend Update. Let's get right into it. Alonso took an early lead, but once again, Sergio Perez's Red Bull was able to overcome the difference in talent between him and the driver ahead of him, and Checo took the lead within 10 laps. Lando Norris thanked McLaren for another poor finish, noting, "It's been great that McLaren has been finishing so consistently at the back, as it has made it much easier for me to accept Seidel's offer to race for Audi in 2026. Shortly before Fernando Alonso needed to pit for the first time, his race engineer came on the radio to tell him that he's the favorite son and Plan 08 SINGP was go. Shortly thereafter, Lance Stroll was told to stop his car immediately on track. Now, I'm not saying that any sort of impropriety has taken place, but what I am saying is they've been very cagey as to what was wrong with Lance's car, and his timing was suspiciously good. Speaking of impropriety, Fernando Alonso clearly took some proprietary knowledge from Alpine when he left, specifically how to get penalties for not serving penalties correctly. George Russell ran over to Alonso to grab his trophy from him after the podium ceremony because, of course, George getting a podium would happen after the ceremony was already over. It's the most George thing to happen to George since not getting to drive for Mercedes when they were actually competitive. George Russell's time at Williams was proving its value once again as he dragged a shitbox to another podium. Lewis Hamilton, on the other hand, continued to blame his tools. Breaking news, Fernando Alonso's second penalty for serving the first penalty incorrectly has been overturned, which makes this the most George thing to ever happen to George with respect to a podium. Hey buddy, did you hear the news? They reinstated Fernando Alonso's podium. Huh? How does that make you feel?
I think they should have got it right the first time. They ruined his ability to properly celebrate his 100th podium.
Nothing will ever make you happy, will it? Lewis Hamilton was happy to announce that he has finally ended his villain era. Unfortunately, this is because he has entered his Salt Bay phase.
George's podium, you must be happy about that.
It's nothing to do with me, but it's good for the team, for sure.
Lewis Hamilton announced in the week leading up to the race that he had split with long-term physiotherapist Angela Cullen. This was for her to, quote, pursue her dream. That dream? To be a physiotherapist for a winner. Max Verstappen started 15 and still ended up on the front row. Red Bull are so strong this year that the only chance that Max doesn't win WDC is if he dies, and given modern safety standards, that just isn't likely to happen. So, thank you, Halo, I guess, for making this year not interesting. Sergio Perez stepped up his game and won the race on merit today. When asked what motivated him to improve, Checo just stared off into the distance and gave a silent smile and a thumbs up to the Force Ghost of Rubens Barrichello. Near the end, Max asked his race engineer what the fastest lap was and was told, "We aren't worried about that, mate." But Max replied, "Well, I am." Max clearly understood that meant that Checo had the fastest lap, but what his race engineer was actually trying to communicate was, "We just don't want your car to fucking explode." Ferrari finished 6th and 7th today, but hey, at least they finished. Things got weird when a guy who does a really good impersonation of Daniel Ricciardo got P2 in the F2 race, which he later explained was all part of perfecting the impression.
I think we could hopefully maybe be seeing that sort of on that performance that they had in Bahrain coming back into Australia.
For the poll this week, I asked, how do you feel about Lance Stroll pushing through the pain to race with recently broken wrists? And of the 1,000 respondents, 74% said I respect him for it, and 26% say I think he should have waited until he was fully healed. And the other poll that I did this week, and I promise these two are related, are do you miss the Canadian summary of the Grand Prix I did last season for every race weekend update? Of the 1,200 votes, 35% said yes, I'd like to see it come back, 9% said no, I'm glad to see it go, and 56% said I don't care either way. I presume most of the I don't cares are people who don't even watch the channel. So for all of you folks who enjoyed that segment, I promise you that it is coming back. It just won't be part of Race Weekend Update. They're going to be their own standalone videos. So subscribe and I'll be releasing that one later this week. And if you sign up for Patreon for just $5 a month, you get early access to videos, commercial-free content, and of course, original memes, which I put out during every race that aren't published anywhere else. you're the kind who cares about fake internet points, of course, you can go and post them places if you want, but you get exclusive access to dank memes.